I'm Martha Dameron, and this afternoon I get to talk about business. And this is not always the things that people come to shows to hear, but we're going to talk about perks for profit today. We always want to make more money, right? So let's talk about how we can go about making some more money in this business. In order to make more money, you have at least three choices. You either can work harder, work longer, or work smarter. And personally, I kind of like the work smarter idea. In order to work smarter, again, we have some choices. You have to learn how to price for profit. And many times people are not doing that. They don't know how much their costs are involved in producing their items, and so they don't know how to price for profit. We can use projection sales is another way to work smarter. And the third way that I like to use in my business is to add perks to my price list, which are incentives for clients to buy more product. So in order to work smarter, I would encourage you to take all the business classes you can. We come to these seminars and we get sucked into all the beautiful lighting and creativity classes, and we go home and we're so excited and we start off doing all this thing, and all of a sudden we don't see any difference in our sales. We're putting a whole lot more into what we're doing, but we're not seeing a difference in our sales. So the next thing you need to do is learn how to sell. And sell is not a bad word. It's not a four-letter word. It's a reality. And many times we are not our own best salesperson. So if you are not a good salesperson and you know it, and that would be me, you need a salesperson in your corner. Sometimes we can find our salespeople by going to our clients. We may have a client that is sold on us totally. It's a mother that brings her kids in 3 and 4 times a year and would be happy to sell for us in exchange for product or to make enough money to buy product. So look for a salesperson to work with you. Another thing that we need to do with the perks, let's talk about the perks for just a minute. They are an incentive. Many people give discounts as their incentives. Macy's is the #1 department store in the United States, and they are totally discount-based. JCPenney's is going to another model where every 2 weeks they're going to have discounts, but in the meantime, nobody's going to go to them because they're not going to give discounts. So you've got to decide who you are. I personally like to give people incentives to buy more rather than a discount to buy more. So let's look at incentives. I want to go back now just a minute, and we'll drop back and talk about pricing for profit very briefly, because this is not a full-on business class. It's just some ideas of ways that you can make more money in your studio. So how do you price for profit? You have to know how much your product actually costs, and many things go into it. Do you charge more than the discount stores? Well, if you're charging the same as Walmart for an 8x10, you're not going to stay in business. So that's maybe not the best choice that you can possibly make. So do you just look around at all the people in your area and see what they're charging? That might get you closer to a reasonable price, but how do you know whether you are as good as they are or better than they are? So are you on the low end of what all the other photographers in your area are charging, or are you on the high end? Where do you fit? I suggest that you go another route and that you learn costing. Figure out what your costs are actually going to be, and then you can make a reasonable decision on how to price your product. The telephone rings, and you get that dreaded question, how much is an 8x10? They always ask that, and they're not asking that to be difficult. They're asking that because they have no other question, no other way to relate to you as to what they want from you. So they're going to ask you what an 8x10 is. And my response to them is very simply, I'll be happy to tell you what my 8x10 is, but I need a little more information from you. So even if my 8x10s of babies, high school seniors, families, and business headshots are the exact same price, I want to know what they are needing from me. I want to see through their eyes very briefly so that I can begin to make a connection with them. So I say, I will be happy to tell you that, but tell me a little more about what you're wanting. Are you wanting to have a family portrait made, or are you having business headshots, or do you have a new grandchild or a new baby that you want to bring in for portraits? So by asking them, I begin to get them to open up to me. I get to see through their eyes. I get to hear what they want. Then I eventually, after I've made a connection with them, do they want indoor or outdoor photography? I have now gotten to where I am an ally with them. I'm not an adversary that's trying to sell them an 8x10 for a price that they don't want to know. I have created a connection. Now, let's go on and look at the prices on this. From BRI, an 8x10, the base price is $2.30. Then I add in BRI's cost of retouching. Now, many of you say, well, I do my own retouching. I wouldn't have to pay them. Well, you have to pay someone somewhere. And even if it is you and your time, you need to put in some factor for the amount of time that you're spending creating the retouching and the finishing work on an 8x10. Then I choose to add luster spray as a final coat to my 8x10s. I don't have them dry mounted. So my 8x10s basically are $9.99. For a 30% cost of goods, I use a ×3 markup. So my 8x10 would be $30. If I need to make some more money than that, I might go to a 25% cost of goods or a 4 times markup, and my 8x10 goes to $40. A 5 times markup, which, by the way, is where many portrait studios are operating right now, is a 5 times markup, because the costs have risen so high that you have to get more on each unit sold in order to remain in business. So they're using a 5 times markup, and so your 8x10 would reasonably be $50. So you say to me, well, I've only been in business for 5 months. I can't possibly charge $50. No, you can't. But you can charge $30 or $25, and you have to find the price point where your core clients are going to feel comfortable paying that amount to you. I would caution you, there are some hidden costs in the price of an 8x10 that I haven't factored in here. That's the cost of shipping to and from your lab or to and from your client. There's also the cost of your packaging. That beautiful little tissue paper in the bag and all the stickers and everything, that has cost as well. So you need to factor that in. You need to factor in and figure out how much one package unit is going to cost you. And generally it's running about $3.50 for a bag, tissue paper, and your stickers to give out your work in. And there's also framing if you do framing, if you offer framing. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is projection sales. Projection sales, I cannot stress how strongly I would encourage you to do this. If you're not projecting your images for your clients to see for the very first time, you are not doing them a service. If the first time they see those beautiful images, those heart-warming images from their family portraits or that darling little baby is on a computer screen this big, they have no ability to truly decide how much that image means to them. Okay? For instance, the image that's on the screen here is about a 16 by 20. The clients, if they saw it initially on an online sales situation where they're going to see no bigger than a 4 by 6, would have a very difficult time knowing whether or not they truly like that image. The reality is the clients came in, I used projection sales, and this became one of their favorite images of their daughter's senior pictures. So projection sales is a way to immediately increase your sales averages and provide a greater service to your client. Now, how do you go about doing that? It does not have to be anything really slick and smooth. It can be, and I would highly recommend that you visit ProSelect. They're here in the trade show, and I've been using ProSelect for a long time. They have a wonderful system for selling by projection sales. You can create products in it, you can create your invoices. It's a wonderful system. But say you don't have money to spend on another program and you don't have the time to learn it. Nearly every computer, the Mac has iPhoto and iDVD. You can make sales slideshows out of those. You can make slideshows through Bridge or Lightroom. You can also make slideshows very simply through ACDC, which is another old program that I've used for years. So make yourself a slideshow. Now then, you want to make it an experience for your clients. You ask them to come in, make sure that they bring everybody who's part of the decision-making process. If they're going to be a decision maker on how much money is going to be spent, which pictures are actually going to be purchased, they need to be there for this sales presentation. So they come in, you make it an event, you have snacks, you have drinks. It can be as simple as water. You have comfortable seating, and you have a box of Kleenex handy. Because nearly everyone at some time or another will cry during the slideshows. What I have been doing is I make a slideshow for them. I run the slideshow, let them see it all the way through without interruption. I want them to have time to ooh and ah themselves over the images that I have created for them. Then I tell them I come back in, we'll run the slideshow a second time, and then we'll go through each individual image, and you can say yes or no. And it's not going to hurt my feelings if you say no. What you're doing is you're picking your favorites for your family. So we go through each one of them individually. The yeses go in a folder of their own. The nos are not destroyed. They just stay in a maybe folder. So then, if you do projection sales, you will see an increase in your averages. I can promise you that. So I would highly encourage you, first of all, get your pricing straight. Second thing you need to do is use projection sales. And now then, let's move on to what we would do next. Now, I create price lists for everybody. I have a bright, vibrant price list created by this young lady right here in the front row who actually designed this for me. High school seniors want something that looks young, fun, and exciting. A high school senior, and I found this recently. I can't get them picked up. There we go. I was recently searching the web for boudoir and maternity portraits. Found maternity portraits. There was a lady who said, premier maternity photographer in my area. Okay, I'm not going to tell you where she was. So I went to her website, and the first thing that popped up was high school seniors. And I thought, I'm looking for maternity portraits. I'm not looking for high school seniors. So my message to you is, if you have one generic price list that has, for high school seniors, the picture of a pregnant mommy on there, they're not going to carry it around. Make a price list for your high school seniors. Even if your prices are all the same across all product lines, make one for your high school seniors. Then you can do a baby. Again, a high school senior may babysit and may love little children, but they're not going to carry that price list around and pass it around and share it with all of their friends. This is my baby price list. And then for my families, and I do have these printed at BRI, and I have them print my envelopes, so that if I have a client that calls and wants a price list mailed to them, I've already got it ready to go. All I have to do is address it. Then I have a price list for my families, which is more of a generic price list. And on that, I do show some of each. I show families, I show a little baby, and I show a high school senior, so that it gives them just a little reinforcement that I'm going to do a variety of photography. But create price lists for each individual aspect of your business so that they feel like they're getting something that is tailored to them. They can all be your very own style, but realize that they're not all going to be willing to share one generic price list. So let's go through what we do with price lists. On high school seniors, you lead them through what you want them to know, okay? I start out letting them know it's a high school senior price list. Then, the next thing I want them to know is that there is a session fee, okay? So we talk about the session fees and which one. I start with the highest. I subscribe to the good, better, best theory. So the best is the designer session. It's $150. They can bring 6 outfits. They'll see 5 to 7 images from each outfit. And there is a minimum order of $400 for that one. Then we go to the better, which is an hour, and then the good, which is a 30-minute session. So you price these the way they fit with your area. I'm in a small town of about 10,000, and it's been hit hard by the recession. So good, better, best, and lead them through what you want them to know. Now then, the next one is keep it simple. Pick one thing at a time. I want them, first of all, to buy wall portraits. I really do. That's what I want them to do. So I tell them the first thing they do when they're in the sales session is to look for a wall portrait. After they've chosen their wall portrait, then they choose their gift portraits, the ones for grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles. And then the third thing is that they add their wallets to their collection. Fourth thing that I want them to do as an add-on is I want them to take home a framed collection as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I walk them through one at a time. Then after I've done that, I go to even more things that they can purchase, and the last page of the price list is a full list of a whole bunch of different items that I have. So, and I do say proofs on there. Proofs is not a dirty word. It's a word that your client understands. Now, when I'm in a sales session with them, I talk about images. I talk about which image do you think would be best for grandma and grandpa. I try to use an upscale language during a sales session, but by the same token, if a client is using the word proof, it's something that they identify with, and then I remind them that we no longer have those red fade-out proofs, that an image that they purchase from me is fully finished, and it will be last a lifetime. Go for it. Here, we'll pass stuff around, okay? So I give them reasons to move their sale up, okay? Now then, let's talk about perks. We all like them. We all like to be given something as an appreciation. They also are things that you can do that will push your sales averages up. So you do have to know what your sales average is. At the present time, all of my sales average between $600 and $700. So I start my perks at $650. It's within reach of nearly every client that comes in the door. And what do high school seniors want? And I'm going to tell you, the mothers with the babies want this just as badly. They want Facebook images. So the first thing on the perks list is a Facebook images. They get 5 Facebook images. Okay? Now, why did I use that? It costs me nothing to do. I've already got my money in it. I've already retouched those things. I've picked my favorites, retouched them, and shown them to them in their slideshow so that they can see how a fully finished image is going to look. So I start with Facebook images. Nearly every person that comes in wants to have that. Now, I do explain to them that it will have a Facebook image will have my copyright and logo on it, and I ask them not to crop it off. If they do, then I'm going to have to ask them to take it down. So I want them to keep my copyright and logo on it. I also remind them that they are very small images, and if they take it and have it printed somewhere or even printed on their home printer, they're going to be very dissatisfied with the results, that they're not going to get what they want out of that. So these are purely for web-sized images for Facebook. Okay, not all of the perks that I offer are on my price list. And why is that? Well, I do that because I know that there are certain items that I have as perks that if I put them on the price list, they're going to kill a sale. Okay? I have an 11 by 17 press printed poster. I had a mother in, she had chosen 3 11 by 14s of her daughter for her high school senior pictures. And what did she do? She found that 11 by 17 poster, which was much less than my 11 by 14. She dropped the 3 11 by 14s and went with 3 posters. So that got pulled off the price list, okay? So not everything's on the price list. They also cost less. The perk costs less for me to produce than it will boost my sales average. And this is very important. If it's going to only give you the same amount, there's no advantage to you or your client. So you want your perks to cost less than what you're going to up your sales average for. All of the perks have my studio name all over them. I want these things, they are generally items that the client will carry around and share with their friends. I want them to know where it came from. So I have my studio name, telephone number, or website all over them. Again, these are specialty items. They cannot get these things anywhere else. They can only get them from me because I am the keeper of those images. So if they want these items, they either have to buy them from me or they have to go in and use the Perks system to get them. Clients literally will purchase more to get to that next level. Now then, Facebook images, again, make sure you put your logo on them and you let the client know that they're not good enough to print from. The next one on the Perks list is an Animoto slideshow. Animoto with high school seniors is absolutely fabulous. They love the energy of it. They like to have it on Facebook and YouTube, and they always, but I have to caution you, when you make an Animoto slideshow, do not post this anywhere publicly unless you have written permission from your client to do so. We had a client in the studio that it was a very bad situation. They did not want the girl's father to know where she was, and so they were not allowing her to use Facebook. There was nothing on Facebook. So when you're talking about posting anything in a public arena, make sure that you have written permission from your client and that you've discussed with them that you can do it. Okay? Now then, I'm going to run just a very short Animoto slideshow from you.
Picture of your life. A picture of your life.
Families love these slideshows, and they want to know if they can get that on a DVD and run it during the high school graduation party. It's a big add-on for them. So as a perk, they will buy up to the next level in order to receive that. The next perk on the price list is accordion fold wallets. They get 12 images. They love this. They come in sets of 3. Mom and Dad, and I didn't get those out. That's okay. I'll share them with you later. Mom and Dad get one, and each grandparent can have a set of them. And they're nice little things that they carry in their wallets. Posters, I talked about posters. They're a delightful thing to design. Kids can put them in their lockers, they can share them in their rooms, and they're a nice add-on or build for a price list. But be careful, your clients will buy posters if you put them on the price list instead of an 11 by 14 portrait. Now then, graduation announcements are enormous, and they are on the price list. Most of the time, they will buy the graduation announcements from Jostens. And they say, oh, I don't need those. And all you have to do is, again, you're the keeper of the image, graduation parties. Because nearly every high school senior now will have graduation party, and they want their images on that 5x7. And I do design a 5x7 flat with their graduation party information on one side. And again, I will have somewhere my information on that so that all their friends that receive it know where it came from. This product is also, I use for baby announcements. I use it for Christmas cards. Some families do Thanksgiving cards instead of Christmas. So there's a variety of uses for the 5x7 card. And if it's not a high school senior session, I will let the families use this perk to get Christmas cards. We ran a signature print. This is a very simple 10 by 5. I purchased the frames from Excel Picture Frames. They're here as well. They are a very nice little frame. They've got 3 or 4 different styles. The senior comes in. I have a piece of white typing paper, a fat Sharpie, because if it's a real narrow thing, you can't get it selected to copy it and add color to. Have the senior sign it, and I've had kids say, I don't want to use my signature, it's terrible, you can't, and mom will go, yeah, you can't read her writing. So I will then, for those people, I would pick a font or let them pick a font quickly. But the family loves this. This is a great add-on that dad likes to have on his desk or mom likes to have on their desk. Again, they're a simple product that doesn't cost me a whole lot to produce. The 20 by 10 framed art strip is on my price list, and many times the families will buy 2 or 3 of these. And I do try to lead them into choosing images that go together rather than 3 separate images that don't match at all, because when they display this in their home, it's a much nicer display if all 3 images fit together. I frame them. I buy my frames from G&P Frame. They come with the glass. They come with a little wire in the hanger that you have to put on yourself, but they go out totally framed, including the 2 little nail hanger things that go on the wall, so that they can take it home and immediately put it up, not slide it under a bed someplace. It's ready to go on the wall. Also tell them, I give them 2 hangers, okay? Tell them to place the hangers about 6 inches apart, and then when they hang the wire, the frame won't tip and tilt on them. And anything that you can do to help make things better for your client, the greater return you're going to have from it. I don't do things with the thought of return. I do them because I care for my people. The number one thing that every senior wants from me is a senior magazine. And this is 20 to 30 images of their favorites from the slideshow. After we've gone through and gone yeses and nos with the projection sales, I'll just let you pass them around. They can choose what they want in their magazine. I do a custom layout. And many times the families will buy 2 or 3 of these. So it's not at all a stretch that if they get to a certain price point on my price list, that they're going to buy up again to get another magazine. Everybody wants these. These are particularly great when you have a divorced family. Terrible thing to say that there's something good out of a divorce, but the reality is mom gets one, dad gets one. They'll get one for the senior themselves to keep, and I encourage them to have them at their graduation parties. There's a black sheet on the front and the back. Tell them to get a thin line Sharpie or gel pen, and they can sign those. They can have all their guests sign them. So it's a really great add-on product to raise your sales. The last thing, I believe, the top of my perks list is a coffee table book. Again, I do an 8x8, 20 to 30 images. They are custom designed, so the layout's different with each one. I happen to like the canvas photo cover, so I offer that for my perks. So now then, let's stop and think about it. What can you do to increase your sales and make more money? Because that's what the name of the game is. If we want to be in business next year, if we want to have, oh, that's a 5x10 signature print. That's where it went. Got packed down in there so it wouldn't get damaged on the way out here. Anyway, so what can we do so we can be in business next year? We have to buy new computers. We have to buy new cameras. We have to buy new lenses. There's always upgrades to software. We need to learn how to price for profit, make sure that our pricing is done properly. We need to use sales, projection sales, in order to show our clients what that image is going to look like, large and on their wall. And we need to also then use a perks to move them from one level to the next. And I can guarantee you it will take your sales averages up by using these systems. So let's go back home, and we're going to do this. We're going to price for profit. We're going to know what it costs us to create it. We're going to use projection sales, and then we're going to use a perks program. Does anybody have any questions?
How much is the senior magazine?
How much is the senior magazine? I almost hate to tell you how much the senior magazine, because my area may be different than yours.
Your cost.
Oh, my cost? That senior magazine is $25. $28, pardon me. I got sidetracked. It's a soft cover. It's actually a really neat product. That's probably one of my favorite things to create, is the senior magazine. Now, what I've got to figure out how to do is to use that in my babies, with my babies, and make that a part of my baby plan. What are you doing? Are you using anything like that with babies, or do you do babies? You don't do babies. I do babies, I do families, and I do high school seniors, and I will add maybe 1 to 3 weddings, 6 at the max weddings a year. I used to do 25 to 30, and I just got old. It's all good. So I want to thank you guys. I'll be here and answer any questions you have. Thank you.